Sophia Minor was a big star in the 90s. She acted in many films, was on magazine covers, and made lots of music. Her posters can be seen everywhere. One evening, while working on a puzzle, her bodyguard Belle hears a noise at the door. He gets up to check and sees Paul Dewerson standing there with a rose, dressed in a suit. Paul has come to ask Sophia to marry him. Belle reminds him of his last warning, that if he came back, the police would be called. Paul looks sad and says he and Sophia need to talk. Belle tells him clearly that they are not a couple. Paul stays calm and says Sophia is only spending time with Belle because she feels sorry for him. His wife passed away from an illness, and now he has no one to do puzzles with. Belle asks how he knows about the puzzles, but Paul doesn't answer and starts looking for Sophia. Belle tells him to leave and waits until Paul is gone before going back inside. A few moments later, the doorbell rings again. Belle opens the door and finds Paul standing there, looking troubled and holding something in his hand. Belle calmly walks toward him and gently reminds him that they've had this talk before. Paul doesn't actually know Sophia. He kindly asks Paul to hand over what he's holding. Then, Paul suddenly pretends to take out a ring, kneels down, and proposes. Trying to keep things peaceful, Belle plays along and pretends to accept. He lets Paul slide the imaginary ring on his finger and stays quiet as Paul gently kisses his hand. Paul gets up and says they're going to be married. He adds that he brought something special for the ceremony. Belle, trying to keep him calm, agrees and even says he loves him, hoping it will help the situation. He then gently asks for the item again. Instead of giving it to him, Paul steps forward and hugs Belle. Something happens during the hug, and Belle falls to the ground. With the door open, Paul walks into Sophia's house, takes off his shoes, and starts looking around like he belongs there. Outside, Belle wakes up briefly but is too weak to react. Soon, he loses consciousness again. 6 months later, Sophia's team reaches out to Devonte Rhodes, a basketball player. While they're in Sophia's room, she tells Rhodes that she wanted to talk to him because he seemed fun. As they chat, he quietly records a video of her. Soon, her assistant Kaylor enters to say that Belle has arrived. Sophia quickly throws Rhodes's pants at him and hurries to get dressed. Then she opens the door and greets Belle. After introducing Rhodes, Sophia shows Belle the puzzle she's been working on for 6 months. Rhodes notices a piece is missing. Sophia explains she never found it. Meanwhile, Belle heads straight to the rooftop, where his daughter Abby is waiting. He apologizes for being late and offers her a soda to cheer her up. Abby says she's worried about him getting hurt again now that he's back at work. She doesn't like that his job puts someone else's safety above his own. Changing the subject, she tells her dad she got another strange phone call. Belle realizes who it might be and tells Abby to hang up next time and call him right away. Abby says the caller just sounded confused. Elsewhere, Paul's friend J.H. reads a letter Paul sent him and picks up a package from the post office. Following the instructions in the letter, J.H. prepares for the wedding, making sure he has everything ready and remembers their plan. That evening, Sophia and Rhodes go out together to a small club to have a good time. At the same time, Belle watches a news report about 2 people who escaped from Concord Park Institution in Fresno. The escapees are Paul Dewerson and Penelope Pascal, both labeled extremely dangerous after an incident that left 2 people dead and 1 injured. After getting a phone call, Belle takes his daughter Abby to her Aunt Eleanor's house and promises he'll be back soon. Meanwhile, Paul meets up with his friend J.H. and is happy to get his things back, especially a package he's been waiting for. Suddenly, Penelope climbs into J.H.'s truck. Paul introduces her as his assistant, saying she helps manage his and his girlfriend's busy schedules. A little later, Sophia arrives home with Rhodes and sees Belle talking to Officer Parker. When Sophia asks what's going on, Belle explains that her stalker escaped from Concord Park 2 hours earlier. Back in the truck, Paul tells Penelope how J.H. lost his eye. They later drop her off at Pastor Lutzner's house. She knocks on the door and pretends her car broke down, asking for help. At Belle's office, he notices Rhodes's outfit and offers him some clothes to change into. While helping him, Belle explains that the same man once seriously injured him before calling the police on himself. Elsewhere, at home, Eleanor hears something outside. She sees JH and quickly calls her brother. Belle tells her to contact the police right away. Without delay, Belle grabs his gun, tells Rhodes to lock the door, and heads out. While watching the security cameras, Sophia's guard, Waylon, keeps an eye on things as her boyfriend Rhodes walks around the house. In her office, he finds a letter. After reading it, he realizes he was one of the men Sophia considered for her next project as a possible co-star. Sophia walks in and tells him it's okay if he wants to leave. Feeling let down, Rhodes tells her that Belle already left. At Eleanor's house, Officer Carter shows up after she reports seeing a strange man outside. However, Carter doesn't think it's anything serious, which frustrates Eleanor. The officer says he can either leave or stay inside to keep them safe, as long as he gets some coffee, but Eleanor insists it's better if he stays outside and keeps watch. Back at Sophia's house, she tries to do a puzzle with Rhodes to lighten the mood, but he becomes emotional. He says he feels like one of the puzzle pieces, something she put together, appreciated for a while, and then set aside when finished. Outside, Waylon is eating when he sees a mysterious trunk appear on the security camera. He looks around to find out who left it, but before he can react, the power suddenly goes out. Inside, Sophia is frustrated, saying the electricity should have been fixed weeks ago. Rhodes asks Sophia where her circuit breaker is, but she doesn't know because she owns several houses. He thinks she's being arrogant, though he doesn't say anything directly. Instead, he expresses his frustration with how she talks about her wealth. Not wanting to argue, Rhodes picks up the candles on the table, hoping to find the circuit breaker. Soon, however, they begin to argue when Sophia comments on Rhodes's personality. This makes him angry, especially when he sees his name on a list on her desk. Sophia mocks him for getting upset, just as Penelope arrives. While Waylon is distracted looking for the breaker, Penelope knocks him down and excitedly tries to fix the power herself. She ends up shocking him with a taser until he vomits. Waylon, still fighting back, manages to stab Penelope with a fork and punches her to stop her from attacking him. But Penelope fights back hard and drops a microwave on him, using it to hit him in the head. At this point, Sophia gets upset and tells Rhodes to leave her house. In her hurry, she accidentally breaks a chair while trying to lock the door. Even though she's hurt, she continues locking all the doors in the house. But when she hears a noise, she feels anxious. She lights a candle and goes to check. The first thing she notices is that her puzzle is now finished. Sophia doesn't realize anyone is behind her. As the kettle boils, she turns off the stove, accidentally bumping into an open drawer, which causes her candle to go out. She's still unaware of her surroundings. Meanwhile, Rhodes tries to open the gate but can't because of the power outage. He decides to find the circuit breaker and restore the power. As the power comes back on, Paul sneaks up behind Sophia and hugs her. She stands frozen while he expresses how much he's missed her and apologizes for leaving. Once she snaps back to reality, she pulls away from him. When Paul moves closer, Sophia grabs the nearest object and hits him in the head. She then throws fruit and a toaster at him, creating enough chaos to escape his grip. As she runs, Rhodes realizes something is wrong. He rushes to the door and reaches it at the same time as Sophia, but she can't unlock it fast enough. Sadly, the obsessed man catches up with Sophia and slams her head against the door. Meanwhile, Eleanor watches Officer Carter from the window, and Abby tells her that, according to MTV News, Paul Dewerson's girlfriend collapsed and died during one of Sophia's concerts. Belle arrives and urges Eleanor and Abby to get ready, assuring them the coast is clear. When they mention the police, he says he didn't see anyone. Unbeknownst to them, JH had already taken care of the officer just moments earlier, then dragged the body away before pulling up outside the house. Belle tells Eleanor and Abby to lock the car doors while he checks the house, missing Carter's body in the truck. He returns to find JH in the car with Abby, who demands Belle's gun before ordering him to take them to Sophia's house. Paul treats Sophia's wound, then finds Penelope at the door with JH's trunk. Sophia wakes up in the recording room, and Paul says he's ready to be with her forever. She tries to explain he's confused and sympathizes with him. Thinking Sophia is mad, he gives her a pack of frozen peas for her head and talks about their wedding. In the car, J.H. gets frustrated with Belle asking to release Abby and Eleanor. He orders Belle to pull over, takes him to a dark spot, and plans to shoot him. Afterward, they continue their drive to Sophia's house. At the house, Paul introduces his assistant to Sophia, changes into a suit, and checks his ceremonial dagger. He then greets J.H. and the others and leads them inside. Meanwhile, Penelope shows Sophia her wedding dress and offers to help with the wedding, despite knowing the couple isn't in love. After receiving her gown, Sophia asks for her makeup and heads to the bathroom. The escaped prisoner locks Sophia in the vocal booth, slapping her hand when she tries to open the door. Sophia secretly uses a bandage on the latch to unlock it. She grabs an electric guitar, hides behind the door, and knocks out the first person to enter, Rhodes. Paul admits he kept calling Abby to be their flower girl. When Abby hears a noise from the trunk, Paul reveals the injured pastor he knocked out earlier. Rhodes wakes up, apologizes to Sophia, and they talk about the chaos. Penelope returns and attacks Sophia. Rhodes tries to help, but she pushes him aside. Sophia and Penelope fight, with Sophia kicking her into the piano. Penelope hits Sophia with a tambourine and throws her through a glass door, sending her down the stairs. As Sophia crawls away, Penelope restrains her and pours a flammable liquid on her, trying to set her on fire. Sophia stabs Penelope with a meat thermometer and doesn't set her on fire. She helps Rhodes sit and tries calling 911, but Penelope attacks her again. Sophia pushes the thermometer into Penelope's skin and locks her in the vocal booth, trying to burn her with a piece of paper. Horrified, she uses a fire extinguisher to put out the flames. Rhodes wakes up and tells Sophia he saw a little girl in the house. She quickly changes and leaves. Paul arrives but only finds Rhodes, speaking to him as if he's the bride. He sees Penelope's body but ignores it, showing Rhodes the ceremonial dagger meant to protect them. Sophia finds Abby and the others, surprising J.H., who didn't check if Belle was alive after shooting him. Kaler gives Belle her car, and he drives to Sophia's house, seeing a wedding invitation that makes him leave immediately. At the cassowary tabernacle, Sophia waits for the groom. Belle rushes there and calls for backup. Paul arrives, directing Abby to walk down the aisle while throwing imaginary flowers. Rhodes and the bodyguard follow, and Belle warns Rhodes not to upset Paul, who is violent. Paul thanks the bodyguard, Belle, and promises to treat Sophia well. Belle secretly hands Sophia a knife before the ceremony starts. J.H. reveals Paul is marrying a man, not a woman, pointing to the real Sophia. Rhodes calls Paul and distracts him. Sophia stops the ceremony, saying it's her fault they're all there, so she should be the bride. Pastor Lutzner pronounces them married, and Paul kisses Rhodes, thinking he married his dream woman. Suddenly, Paul stabs Rhodes, knocking him out. Belle punches Paul and knocks J.H. down. Sophia frees herself, takes the knife from Paul, and kicks him in the face. Belle asks if she's okay, but a new problem arises. J.H. grabs Abby and threatens to hurt her unless Belle drops his weapon. Belle reluctantly complies, but Rhodes stops J.H. before he can harm Abby. Paul leaves the church with Sophia, thinking he's in a limousine, but he's actually in a police car. EMTs help the injured, and the police take Paul away. Belle tells his daughter he's quitting his bodyguard job because it's too dangerous. Meanwhile, Paul dreams of going to Maui, unaware of his real destination.
Thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the bell icon, and stay connected with us.